Yes. You know, I want to get right into it, and I'll tell you why. Taylor Twellman's with us, and he was on TMZ yesterday.
Oh, was he?
He was.
Like he was interviewed, or like they had the guy with the water bottle talking about it?
I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
No, I think he was being interviewed.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
He was holding the U.S. women's national team accountable is what he was doing.
He's great.
So, he doesn't pull punches, so he's with us at 10:30. That's brought to you by Together Credit Union. And then Jackson, kind of a Kurt Russell's Herb Brooks moment right before the microphones opened. Got me focused. He said, let's bring heat. And I go, you know what? You don't need to say anything else. Yeah. I just ratcheted my game up right there and there.
Yeah.
You know. Plus, on top of that, outside of Jackson's pep talk, 101 ESPN has your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to next Tuesday night's Budweiser Bash for the Cardinals versus the A's. Next week's Bud Bash game features a limited edition Gary Gaetti bobblehead. I always thought he spelled it G-A-R-Y, but it's spelled G-A-R-A-Y. They have this new thing, I guess, maybe to block out what's going on behind the glass from the YouTube.
Yeah, it's like a little puppet show back
Ryan
there.
Put his head in his hands when I said it.
Little silhouette show going on back there.
Yeah, it's like I'm in the red light district and Riders behind the glass. Gary Gaetti. Text it now at 314-399-9646 to win Bud Bash tickets for Cardinals versus A's. Get all the details on this season's series of Budweiser Bash Cardinals games now at cardinals.com/promotions. I mean, I'm loaded for bear here today, and I'm even more enthused, A, because of Jackson's pep talk, B, because TMZ's very own Taylor Twellman will be with us at 10:35, but also because I know that today is a Little Piddles Angry Beaver sports business newsletter.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring it.
You want to bring it right now?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's bring the noise for all the boys.
Well, there's no reason to walk around it, Tim. What's going on right now with Kevin Brown is at the front headlines of all sports outlets.
Yeah, fun. It's too clitenic.
Thank you, yeah. Reach right through your TV, as Doug would say. So Kevin Brown, he has been off the air for the Orioles. He's the Orioles broadcaster. He's been off the air now for some time, leading to a lot of speculation about what's going on. And then, as you discussed earlier on TMA, Roy Firestone, out of nowhere on a message board, which is just a wild sentence.
Like if this were 1995, I'd go, okay.
Right.
Message boards, AOL up, dial-up. But Roy Firestone confirming that Kevin Brown, not the pitcher, but the Orioles broadcaster, has been suspended for, you went to the computer, which means to me you're pulling up the audio.
Yes.
All right, here, for those of you who have not heard why the Orioles play-by-play man was suspended, here is the audio clip.
Brandon Hyde has felt like this has been maybe the toughest ballpark to play in, but the Orioles have a chance to do something special today. They've already clinched at least a split in the series, winning 2 of the first 3, and they could pick up a series win behind Tyler Wells today. It's been a minute. The Orioles split a 2-gamer with the Rays in June. They had lost their last 15 series here at Tropicana Field. You have to go back to when our now colleague Brad Brock picked up the win in the series finale June 25th, 2017, the last time the Orioles won a series here at St. Pete. Already got 3-2 at the Trop this year after winning 3 of 18 the previous 3 years combined. It is a stark difference, Ben, and it is not a bad Rays team. It's not like all of a sudden the Rays became slouches in the American League East. They've led this division every day, but now 2, and the Orioles once again are back alone in first place.
There it is. Damning comments.
I mean, really, how could you say that with a straight face?
So this story, in part because, let's be honest, there's nothing going on, but also because it's another, this is back-to-back days of I don't like racism tweets. Mm-hmm. In other words, who is going to be on the side of John Angelos and going, yeah, I can understand why he suspended the guy. I listened to that. And then I read the story on Awful Announcing, which broke the story yesterday. Yeah. I read New York Post. Andrew Marchand had an update on it this morning, about an hour and a half ago. I still think that there has to be more to the story.
Right.
It couldn't have been that got Kevin Brown, who Jackson tells me is about 35. He looks like, in the video, I would say he's around your age.
Right, yeah. He's young looking, but he graduated Syracuse in 2011.
Newhouse School of Journalism, Jackson.
Yeah, often rated number one.
Wow, why do you hate Missouri?
Well, if anyone, I don't have to defend my loyalty.
Missouri, I went to Missouri.
So did I.
I went to the Missouri School of Journalism. I didn't go there to play golf.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
Now, you were debating whether or not to respond to that because you went to Florida Gulf Coast University for golf.
That was, just for 1 year.
Right. Defend yourself.
Well,
Defend your honor.
Sport management.
Play the role of Ralph Macchio, and I'll be Uncle Sato.
So I have to, crane kick somebody? I don't know if I'm that limber.
That's correct.
Rocky, get in here. I'm going to crane kick you.
He might come in here, actually, and now Ryder's looking for him. I can see the silhouette. I still think there's got to be something more to it. Now, John Angelos, I don't know who to compare him to.
It's a tough one.
But John Angelos, earlier this year, apropos of nothing, told the Baltimore media he was going to open up the Orioles books and show the media their financials. Nobody asked for it because nobody would ask for it. But then when the time came, he didn't do it. It is in researching this story to try to figure out what could possibly be really going on. It may actually be as simple as this owner is a bit off, saying it politely.
Yeah, I think his closest...
If you've ever worked for an owner who is a bit off, you go, okay, then I guess I can see it. It just isn't something... I don't think Dan Snyder... I don't know what's going on with sports owners in the Beltway, but I don't think people necessarily thought Dan Snyder was incompetent. I think they thought maybe he was mean and a bad leader.
Right.
But that's different than this, which is just so petty and trivial, it doesn't seem real to me, which is why I'm like, well, what are the Orioles saying? And the Orioles are asked to say something. They go, we don't comment on employee issues, but we look forward to Kevin being back on the air. This is such an extreme example. I think what people are saying, well, isn't this a shame? Some people, not a lot. Iggy Strode just said it on TMA. Well, isn't it a shame that broadcasters don't feel like they can be critical? I think that this is such a one-off
outlier
of insanity. If this is indeed why Kevin Brown was suspended, which I'm still not sold on, but the Orioles aren't saying otherwise, I don't think that all people in working for teams have to operate in this kind of fear that's essentially stating facts. That wasn't even opining that the Orioles had not won a series against the Rays in that building, that beautiful ballpark they have in Tampa. Would get you fired or suspended. So I still am waiting for the Orioles to give their side of it. I saw Buster Olney tweeted out, who used to cover the Orioles. Joe Strauss used to cover the Orioles. I don't know if Bernie Miklasz covered the Angelos family, but I know he's from Baltimore.
Right.
But the Angelos family didn't own the Orioles when they won in 1983. So I don't know if Bernie covered them. And then who else? Oh, Ken Rosenthal.
Right. Yeah,
so, I mean, a number of great writers have come from the Baltimore area, whether it be working there or growing up there in the case of Bernie Miklasz. And I have no idea for the life of me what the deal is with this Angelos family, because Stan Kroenke's a different thing. I don't think people necessarily would say Stan Kroenke's, incompetent. I mean, he just quintupled his investment. They would say he may be unethical.
Sure.
I think that would be the word, but not necessarily incompetent. This strikes me as incompetent. And if Bill DeWitt said, come on down, we're going to open up our books, I'd go, that's interesting, but what does he do? I'd go, what the hell's he doing? It's a private business.
Unprovoked.
Right. But that's what this guy did in January of this year.
Yeah.
That's how I was familiar with John Angelos. His father is Peter Angelos, which is a name many more may be familiar with. He's now 94. John Angelos is now serving the role of chairman. I imagine that at some point, Bill DeWitt III is going to be serving the same role. But now currently it's his father, Bill DeWitt Jr., who's the chairman of the Cardinals. But I think you can be unhappy with the Cardinals and still, if you follow baseball, I can't imagine Ken Rosenthal, Buster Olney, Bernie Mikla's, Joe Strauss, if he were still with us, would say, yes, we take the Angeloses over the DeWitts.
Right.
So I'm still waiting for the Orioles side of this, but the Orioles were given a chance, and they said we don't comment. So they're just not every, but I feel like I saw 8 baseball broadcasts last night where the play-by-play guy laid into this situation in defense of Kevin Brown.
Oh, yeah.
But then on the other side of it, who's going to be like, no, I really like where the Orioles are coming from here.
Someone
this guy shouldn't give data.
Someone should. The thing with Angelos, it's giving me big Michael Scott vibes, where he's like super petty and like wants this like big loyalty and is doing stuff unprovoked, like,
But hasn't earned the loyalty.
right. Like, I feel like there's like just that kind of vibe going on. It's so crazy. I'm with you. Like, there has to be something more. And if it is just this, then like in the future, who's going to want to work for John Angelos?
I mean, I agree with that in a vacuum, but the thing about our industry is, for every one job, there's 20 people who want it.
Right.
And so inevitably somebody will. I mean,
Right.
hell, there's people who write checks to have shows.
Sure.
So, anything is possible. It's like I want to talk about this because I'm so confused and just amused by it. But until the Orioles say something, I feel like I'm take smithing on Twitter and getting likes because, again, who's going to take the other side of the argument?
Right.
Jackson, do you take the other side of the argument?
Sure, I'll do it real quick.
Okay.
I don't know about all of you people, but
Nice. Anytime you can go, you people, you're off to a good start.
red hot start. Well, I'm defending Angelos here, so it's not going to be great. I don't know about you. I like my broadcasters to be rooting for the home team. You want to pull out these numbers about years gone by?
Nice.
Look at the present. These Orioles are in first place.
Nice.
The only thing you should be saying is rah, rah, go Orioles. Here they come, Baltimore.
Wow.
And if you want to do anything else, you want to wear non-Orioles gear while doing broadcast for my team, you can go take that down to Washington.
Wow. Look at that. Yeah. Chairman Burkett.
Yep.
Chairman of the board of the Baltimore Orioles.
# stand with Angelos.
I wouldn't mind seeing you tweet that out and just see what happens.
Name it, put it in my bio. That's how strongly I feel about this.
You can win tickets to the Cardinals and A's next week just by winning our best text. And Jackson, as chairman, will decide that unilaterally. 314-399-9646. That's to win the Budweiser Bash tickets for the Cardinals and the A's. We have the Lil Piddles Sports Business Review. Newsletter.
But it also could be a review.
Taylor Twellman at 10:35. He's not happy with the U.S. women's national team.
Yeah, boy.
I watched. Did you watch that? I
watched part of the replay. I didn't get up at 4 a.m. to watch it.
Well, yes, I didn't do that. So I got up, and then I wanted to make sure I didn't see anything on social media so I can watch it without. It's how, like, if a Blues playoff game starts at 9:30 on the West Coast,
sure.
I get up at 4:30 or 5 and I watch it, but I don't look at anything so I can watch it live. And so I had no idea what was going to happen in PKs.
Boy.
But if I would have known they lost, then I would have seen, God, they're up on PKs here. And they have 3 shots that all missed the net.
Oof.
So Taylor Twellman, but he was a little critical of it last week, too, when he was with us. So we'll get his thoughts on that. That's coming up at 10:35. Sports Business Newsletter coming your way. Brought to you by Angry Beaver. This is Balloon Party, driven by McKernan, St. Louis Acura. I'll tell you what I want to ESPN. Do you need to get your car serviced? Well, then go to Mungan, St. Louis Acura, Alton Toyota. Even if you didn't get your car from there, and then you can experience the wonder that is the Mungan, St. Louis Acura and Alton Toyota service department. But if you are looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle, you can go shopping right now. And you don't have to drive there. You can go online at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com. And then once you go shopping online, you might say to yourself, but I got a question about this. Great news. Here is the secret number for our listeners, 314-252-0029. That's 314-252-0029. And you can text or call Jamie Burkhardt, Clayton Patterson, Peter Munganest at Munganest St. Louis Acura and Alton Toyota and get the answers to your questions directly from the people who work there. That is how they want to communicate with our audience directly. 314-252-0029 or just go online, stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com. That open brings me joy.
Doesn't it?
Great joy. Piddles is currency, $5 at Angry Beaver when you mention him. All right, Jackson, what do we have on the Sports Business Newsletter?
Yeah, so I wanted to bring up again conference realignment.
Okay.
What's going on with that as news has broken.
Cal and Stanford talking with the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Right. Two schools located directly on the Pacific Ocean want to join the Atlantic Conference. A little bit different, but, you know, we all want that Stanford-Miami matchup when you have to fly from Miami to Palo Alto.
Yeah, that could be about 6 hours, 6.5 hours?
At least. So when looking at this, I kind of want like not a deep dive necessarily, but like a somewhat shallow dive into the history of what the catalyst to all this could be. What is the reason that we're seeing such a massive flip-flop of conferences and the media deals being such a big part of that? What do you think is the catalyst going on right now, or what has gone on in the past to create where we are right now?
God, that's like, you know what? I got to tell you something. It's a good question. I hate to not play sports talk radio, but sometimes you don't know.
Right.
Now, the key is to not say you don't know, but to talk louder and then scream over people.
Right, right.
And then just hope that your audience falls for it and then redirect with a bright, shiny object. But unfortunately, this program is called Honesty in Media, and I really don't know. I do know with regards to the Big 12 and what made a lot of the teams in the Big 12 way back when unhappy was the feeling that Texas was just running the conference. And this Longhorn network more than a decade ago now was the catalyst with regards to Nebraska wanting out and potentially Missouri wanting out, but Nebraska got in the Big Ten. I think a number of Missouri fans feel like Missouri may have made more sense in the Big Ten. Again, that's when, quote unquote, sense was a factor in conferences
right.
and who was in there. And part of that's geographic and part of that is academic. Personally, I like the SEC. I just wanted to see Missouri either in. Well, I never even thought the SEC was possible. I just wanted Big Ten, because the Big 12 thing. I just was like, this isn't. But if you're on the west side of the state, it made more sense from the KU and the K-State and Oklahoma State and Nebraska, and I guess to an extent Ames, Iowa. I was just looking. I'm just going, what is this? I mean, there are no places you really want to visit.
No, there's no one where you circle I want to go with my buddies and go to a game.
The Grove or to Gainesville or to Nashville,
Between the hedges.
Between the hedges. How do you do? So anyway, that's what started the Big 12 thing. I think at its core, it's television. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Right. Yeah, I feel like also the Pac-12 has kind of been, and granted, I think a decent amount of it is on the time zone, because anytime you're in that West Coast time zone, it's late games for the East Coast, and that is tough. But especially in football, it seems like a lot of recruits have moved to the Southeast, where it's, those are the teams that are getting all the big guys. But there used to be somewhat of a balance, I feel like, even in the early aughts, with USC being such a powerhouse and even schools like Stanford and Cal getting big name talent. And now, and I know USC has made kind of a revival with Lincoln Riley at the helm, but it just feels like every recruit you hear from the top 25 are all going to somewhere in the SEC, and it's just not delivering the same return at what Oregon used to be, just such a powerhouse. I just feel like all these schools
if you want to play football professionally, you enhance your chances by going to one of those schools, and part of that is because you get the showcase games, whether it be 2:30 on CBS, I think it's the last year of CBS, or those ESPN time slots.
Yeah.
And then you're also coached by some of the best, and you're playing on the biggest stage, and that enhances your chance to go and play professionally.
Yeah.
And so for many high school students, that's the appeal. If you're playing at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, which some of these Pac-12 games have been, that plays a role in it. And so at the core of the most recent one was the Apple TV deal. And I was reading an interview with the University of Washington president, I believe, and I think her thought was, what does it say for the television deal when the best thing we're all talking about is that we can get out of it in 2 years?
Right. That's the biggest perk. Yeah.
If anything, if you're happy with a deal, you want a long-term deal.
Right.
If you want free agency, you're like, oh, good, we have outs. So that tells you a lot about the leverage that they had. And such a big part of that was UCLA and USC, the big market LA teams, leaving to go to the Big Ten. So the Pac-12 didn't have leverage. And Oregon and Washington said, we can't be stuck here. We got to go. As far as how this all started 15 years ago, the Southwest Conference blew up in the early 1990s. Arkansas hasn't always been part of the SEC. They went from the Southwest Conference. Big 12 took on Texas and Texas A&M, and I assume Texas Tech was part of the Southwest Conference, but they just had all kinds of issues off the field. So it's not new. I just feel like this is a landmark moment where you're going, okay, this is just dumb.
Right, it's crazy. Stanford playing Miami, that's
it's
nuts.
Just dumb. But then the Big 12 is like this, when I got cut from all the teams in high school, they had a CYC thing, and it was all the ne'er-do-wells who couldn't make their high school team. That's what the Big 12 is now.
Yeah, certainly for football.
All due respect, Rock Chalk, in your situation.
No doubt. And I feel like the Final Four, the change from the BCS, is kind of when I noticed the Pac-12, or especially West Coast teams in general, kind of fall out of cultural consciousness. Since the inception of the Final Four.
The college football playoff. There hasn't been a Pac-12 team in there since 2016.
Right, that's Oregon. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. There just hasn't been representation at the end of the year, and that can't help. Now, like I said, Lincoln Riley going to USC changed the game. Caleb Williams just won Heisman. But that doesn't change the fact that, the Pac-12 in general, and also, I don't know if you watch a lot of Pac-12 football, they seem to get the worst cameras ever.
That's interesting.
I was watching a Stanford-Oregon game, and it looks like it was being filmed on, a camcorder from 2001. And it was grainy.
It's like when you're watching Oklahoma State basketball games, and it used to look like they were from up in the rafters.
Yeah, Duke has that. Talking about. Duke shoots it from the top of the ceiling.
I don't know what the reason for that is. I follow you on that. Question 3.
Question 3, Tim. Question 3, Tim. As we stand here today, HBO has launched the second season of Winning Time. The dramas of
Huge fan of the program. I haven't seen episode 1 yet, but I can't wait to watch it. I love that show.
Yep. Put your TV executive hat on.
Okay.
What is another team across sports, not just local, but across sports in general, that could garner a TV show about them that would meet both the storyline interest and the national attention interest intersection?
That's nice.
And what would you title it?
I'm going to have to I'll yield my time to the gentleman from Ladue on titles. I think titles are kind of, and if we were doing HD2, I'd make the hand gesture, but I will respect the 101 studios and I won't do it.
Because
here.
Winning Time is actually a bad name.
Yeah,
for
it doesn't matter.
Because the Showtime,
I think
obviously.
titles are just kind of, but the 1990s Bulls come to mind.
Yeah. There's definitely some personalities there.
The 1990s Yankees from a talent standpoint, but I don't know if the personality is there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's got to be like you have...
So like the 1980s Mets?
Yeah, that would certainly be like the... HBO could really dig in on that show.
I mean, that's a nice play.
That's my first thought went to like the 86 Mets.
Oh, really? Okay. Interesting. We're on the same page.
And I know that they did a documentary about
the U with
Ray Lewis. Yeah.
Take your pick. I mean, it started in the early 1980s.
Sure. No doubt. Yeah. I would feel like if you're going to get like the national attention.
Essentially, wherever a team's doing a bunch of cocaine.
That would be good. So
there's
the 80s.
There's step one in our production meeting. All right. Which teams did a lot of blow? And then we just start whiteboarding it.
Yeah.
No play on words intentional.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities. And I was trying to think like football-wise, like the 90s Cowboys.
That's the play.
You think?
That's the play. That's actually the right answer.
Yeah, because similar to the Showtime Lakers, it was not just 1 year of success. It was sustained success across part of a decade. And I think you could get like a 5-season run out of the Cowboys. Whoever plays Jerry Jones would be great. Michael Irvin, I think you could get some really cool characters in there. So I'll go 90s Cowboys.
I think that is actually the right answer.
And I'd call it Lone Star.
Oh.
I'd call it Lone Star.
I think you wanted a bigger reaction to that, and I don't know if I gave it to you. Maybe in the text inbox.
You don't like the title?
No, it's not that I don't like it. I'm just not a big title guy. I don't go, oh, the title, let me go see. Like you saw Barbie, but you didn't see Barbie because it was titled Barbie, right?
No, it was because it was directed by Greta Gerwig, and it had Margot Robbie. And Tim's, who will be portraying Tim in his biopic, Ryan Gosling.
That's correct. If you haven't listened to QFTA and the Tim McKernan Show podcast, how did we even get on the topic of a biopic for me?
Because you said when you started your TV career, you had just watched Private Parts.
Oh, that's correct.
The Howard Stern movie.
And my first sportscast, which I incorrectly said on yesterday's program. I'd like to issue an apology. I'm going to look into this YouTube camera. Right. Look at these baby blues. Look at the way I yearn. I feel like it's Prince in When Doves Cry. And he's reaching into the camera, but you're like, this is a little perverted, isn't it?
Right.
But it's Prince, so you're fine with it. And since it's me, watch. Dig, if you will, the picture. I bet that's got to be such a turn on.
You have aesthetically pleasing hands.
Do I really?
Yeah, really nice. Like proportionate.
Then they
nails.
must be small then.
Well.
So the first sportscast we determined was September 12th, 1998. That was the day Devin West ran for like 332 yards against Rock Chalk. Mm-hmm. So it was 4 days after Mark McGwire hit 62. Where were you when he hit 62? You were probably in a crib.
Yeah, so would that have been September of 98?
That's correct.
Yeah, I would have been like 8 months old.
Yeah.
So there's that. So that's what I was doing. But I was still locked in.
Right. You were locked in. You were probably watching my sportscast. And immediately after my sportscast, which Gabe DeArmond produced, he was in my class of Power Mizzou fame, the general manager of the station called, and I had said so much crap that irritated him that probably in 2023, not probably, absolutely in 2023, I would have been fired for immediately. And he called and said, hi, Tim. Tom Gray. I'm the general manager of the station. Just watch your sportscast. Yeah, we don't do that crap here. And I thought it was great. And I'm like, how great is that? Because in my mind, I'm like, oh, this will be perfect for... What an arrogant ass that I thought I'm already thinking down the road that this is great. And Gabe was waiting for me after I got off the set. And he goes, well, that was interesting. And he goes, so the general manager called. He's not happy with it.
Oh, man.
So then Jackson said, this is like your own film, and then you decided Ryan Gosling would play me.
Yes, and I stand by that.
And who's going to play you?
Lucas Hedges, I've decided on. Lucas
Hedges. What percentage of this audience knows who Lucas Hedges is?
3%.
I have no idea who he is.
You may remember him from Manchester by the Sea.
I have seen Manchester by the Sea. What an upbeat picture.
Yeah, really. If you're looking to have a great time, to fire that one up. Casey Affleck. Lady Bird. Yeah, indeed. Lady Bird, Waves. He does a lot of theater acting. He's really good. And he kind of looks like me. But also now that I'm thinking of this Lone Star show, thinking who would play Jimmy Johnson. And it's just, once again, it's what a shame we lost Philip Seymour Hoffman, because he would be absolutely perfect.
Wow, he can be Art Howe and Moneyball, and now Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, well, may he rest in peace. So I don't know who would do it. And Brimley's gone, too.
Also had a crush on Mark Wahlberg in Boogie Nights.
Yeah, and all of his clothes fit like a 12-year-old boy.
All right, we have more of that, but we also have Taylor Twellman coming up on the other side of the break. He is giving his thoughts. I mean, Miami is on this heater.
Yeah.
And Taylor was asked about that with Messi and the phenomenon now. You have Mbappe being talked about with coming to MLS, and Taylor on the U.S. women's national team. All of that is coming your way, plus the second half of the Lil Piddles Angry Beavers sports business newsletter to finish off Balloon Party here on 101 ESPN.
This is Action Jackson with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals were off last night, but back in action tonight against the Tampa Bay Rays in St. Petersburg, Florida. First pitch at 5:40 p.m. That was in their Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Welcome back. Let's get him on here, Jackson. I know you're trying to keep him off the air, but I'm not going to let it happen. Let's get Taylor Twellman on right now. He's presented by Together Credit Union. Taylor, good morning.
Hi, buddy.
I'm scrolling through TMZ, getting ready for show prep yesterday, and there's Taylor Twellman. 101 ESPN Tuesday guest Taylor Twellman talking it over on TMZ. Jackson was wondering, were you on TMZ or did they take a clip from you doing some other show?
I was on TMZ.
Look at that. Look at that. And you were talking about the U.S. women's national team and the loss to Sweden on Sunday morning. So for those who did not get a chance to see you on TMZ, what was your reaction to not just to Sunday morning and the loss in PKs, but the overall performance of the U.S. women in the World Cup?
It's the worst. It's the worst World Cup in their history, right? So you just say that in and of itself, and I get it. This is the most diverse and deepest women's World Cup they've ever had. Brazil, Germany, Canada, United States not getting to the quarterfinals. I totally understand that, but I ruffled some feathers 6 years ago, saying and watching the youth landscape in this country be very, very segregated and disorganized, for lack of a better word. And I saw what the under-17s and the under-20 women's teams were struggling at the international level. And I simply said that when the footballing soccer countries around the world get not only their resources behind things, but their brains and their soccer knowledge behind it, the United States, that gap's going to be gone. I didn't think it would be this quickly, but here we are. The fact is, tactically and technically, the U.S. women, they're now chasing it, because they're simply relying on the athleticism and fitness that they've been dominant for so many years on. That no longer can exist when Spain's, France, Colombia's, and all of these other teams can now outplay you because they have a better history of developing tactical and technical players. I think this is a watershed moment for the United States women.
So what do you think will take place between now and the next Women's World Cup? What can they do? What should they do?
Well, they've got the Summer Olympics next year. So, mind you, the women are different than the men because the women can send a full national team to the Olympics where the men cannot. So it's going to be a lot quicker, Tim. We're going to find out what they do. I think whatever decision they make with the manager, general manager, the roster, because I think the old guard needs to be moved on from. I look at this and say that's fine, but if you base it on what you do in the Summer Olympics, that means you haven't changed, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, but getting a different result. So I think systemically they've got to figure out the youth game in this country. Systemically, college soccer for women is no longer the key part to this, because around the world they're now getting players younger, developing them. Look at Barcelona. Look at what they're doing for Spain's women's national team. The U.S. women are arrogant, and that is coming from the federation, and they've got to figure it out. Otherwise, they are going to be playing catch-up, and who knows how quickly they may be surpassed.
Taylor, a couple other hot topics in the world of soccer, and both have to do with MLS. What's going on with Messi in Miami? And I know 2 weeks ago, I think when you were with us, you were about to be with him for an interview. The comeback, that rally they had the other night, unbelievable. I mean, I feel like he has not only captured the minds of the fans on what was the worst team in MLS, but also now people are talking about MLS and seeing the success he's having, and then that carrying over to a report now I saw from Men in Blazers tweet tweeting out about Mbappe possibly coming to MLS. So your thoughts on those two names, what one could be doing to impact the other?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Messi deserves all the credit in the world. I get it. He's going to get the headlines. But make no mistake about it, they've also signed Sergio Busquets, Jordi Alba, Diego Gomez, Farias, and Avalas. So you're bringing in 6 legitimate players, 3 superstars from the former Barcelona days, and 3 real young, dynamic players coming from South America. You couple that with Tata Martino, you're going to have change. Now, nobody expected the storybook type of goals and finishes, comebacks, and wins. I mean, the Hollywood scriptwriters may be on strike, but someone is sneaking a script to Major League Soccer and into Miami that nobody expected. I get that. It's unbelievable. They've now got a chance to win a trophy, maybe 2. They're going to have Charlotte in the quarterfinals of this Leagues Cup. They win that. And then who knows? If New England wins, if Philadelphia wins, then you're going to Philadelphia. This thing could get really interesting quick. Regarding Mbappe, there's no way he comes here for long term. He may come here short term. His heart and his mind and his soul sold on Real Madrid. Mm-hmm. He will be at Real Madrid. But if PSG want to play hardball, there's a potential of a 6 to 12 month loan there. That's what I think Major League Soccer, Saudi Arabia, and other leagues are looking at. But Mbappe coming here long-term, his heart, body, and soul is all on Real Madrid, and he will be on Real Madrid at the beginning of the next campaign.
And finally, for the first time in a long time, we will see the schedule resume here a week from Sunday for City SC and what this team will bring to the final couple months of the regular season. What are you anticipating? What are you looking forward to seeing?
Well, they're going to get a closed-door scrimmage against Atlanta this Saturday, so that is the rumor going on. So they're going to get back into the groove of things, get some 60 to 90 minutes in. I think Nielsen's the most intriguing part to this, his return. He scored for St. Louis City, too. I think that's interesting because you're talking a Bundesliga-caliber center back. I've been on the record. I'm going to stay on the record. I'm not completely sold with this back line. Yes, they're in first place of the Western Conference. But LAFC just opened up their Leagues Cup campaign and blew the doors off of this thing because they got some rest. LAFC is going to chase and be on the backside of St. Louis City from the moment MLS kicks off. They've got to be ready. They've got to get there. I get where they are now, and Bradley Carnell and Lutz Pfannenstiel will probably tell us, listen, they've outkicked their coverage. I get it. But I'm a believer. You're in this position for a reason. Take advantage of the position. They need to finish first in the West because that means every single playoff game will come through City Park, and I don't think anyone in the Western Conference want to do that.
There you go. Taylor Twellman every Tuesday here on 101 ESPN, presented to you by Together Credit Union. Taylor, always enjoy the conversation. Thanks so much for your time.
Yep, see you, brother.
Take it easy. That's Taylor Twellman with us here on Balloon Party. We wrap up the show and the Little Piddles Angry Beaver Sports Business Newsletter, plus give away the Cardinals Bud Bash tickets for our text of the day. Next here on 101 ESPN. Well, here it is. So much to accomplish in such little time. It's a program, Jackson, that squeezes so much into just 1 hour. How do we do it? I don't have the answer. I guess it's my raw ability.
I was going to say it, but it would sound odd, I guess. But
You did say Ryan Gosling should play me in the biopic that's coming out next year.
I really want people to look up Ryan Gosling and then put a side by side of you. If you were to go bald cap,
right,
and he's had the beard before, it's a closer resemblance than you think, and he has such great acting ability that I think he can portray the role really well.
Yeah, I think he can. I think he'll stay in character.
Yeah,
offset.
Right. So yeah,
and then just be delightful.
Right. He'll start throwing water bottles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Jackson, we have a text to give away to the Cardinals Bud Bash. You can find out more cardinals.com/promotions. This is for the Cardinals and the A's next Tuesday night. Budweiser Bash tickets. Gary Gaetti bobblehead night.
Yep. And
did you find one that met your standards?
Yeah. It actually exceeded my standards.
Oh, wow.
I'm really proud of this texter because I scrolled up and saw some of their previous work.
Oh, this is good work.
And they've been there in the winner's struggle before.
Is this a solely texting between 10 and 11 person?
No.
Good. I like to hear that.
No, they got some afternoon drive texts. So the text from Tyler. Spin, Tyler. How do I get Jackson an unpaid administrative leave for working in St. Louis sports radio and only liking a sport that isn't played in this city? He wonders why he can't find a fairway or a woman.
Wow. Maybe when you're vacationing in Las Vegas next week or 2 weeks from now, whenever the hell it is, Tyler can come in with me.
That'd be great.
Tyler, come in.
He's got chops.
He clearly has chops.
Blue feet.
That's what Dick Vermeil used to say in camp when he was impressed by a rookie.
And
He's got blue feet.
Before he would kind of weep during
That's if you brought up Wilbert Montgomery. Jackson, what do we have on the Sports Business Newsletter?
So I got a couple options I can go with here.
Oh, okay, Sadie Hawkins. I like these.
Yeah.
I'm the boy at the square dance, and you're the cute little girl sitting across, and you got to walk up to me and say, "Would you like to dance?"
Yeah.
That's our Sadie Hawkins.
But this is
fun.
It's so fun. This is a weird Sadie Hawkins because I'm just gonna pick what we're gonna do. So I'm kind of the cute little girl. All right.
I'm going to reopen the Air Comfort Service.
Sure. Let's draft, Timmy. On the heels of John Angelos being an oddball, to say the least, let's do however many rounds we have time left for, of bizarre sports owners, either in a good bizarre way or a bad bizarre way.
Okay.
I'll start us off. I think
this is just like we're just naming names.
Well, yeah, I pick and then you pick, and then we'll do a snake draft so you have 2 picks.
Okay.
I'm going to take Jerry Jones. I think he's the obvious one. I think on everyone's big board, you'd have to think that Jerry Jones is, listen, is he a little odd? Yes. Does he have probably too much influence on the NFL as a whole? Absolutely. But you can't say the guy doesn't care. Cares a lot.
Yeah, it hasn't led to much success. I mean, who's the guy who dances around with the clip show?
Oh, Steve Ballmer.
There we go.
Damn it. He was my 2.
I felt like you were probably going to go to the association.
Yeah, now I'm limited on where I can go.
Yeah.
Steve Ballmer with the toilet thing. That was great.
And I'm going to the association again to take your James Dolan play.
Damn it.
Yeah. So now you're exposed.
Kicking Spike out of Madison Square Garden was his opus.
This is opus.
Yeah, so damn it. That really stinks. All right, I'll go Bob Kraft.
What the hell? What?
Robert Kraft.
No, I know who he is.
Sure.
What does he do?
Well, bizarre in a good way.
But what's bizarre about him in a good way?
I think he was a part of getting Meek Mill out of jail, so shout out Robert Kraft.
Oh, okay. All right.
Shout out Robert Kraft.
I thought you were going
to... there's a one I missed. Oh, it's a snake draft. I got the 3rd pick.
Nice.
Mark Davis.
That probably should have been the number 1 overall play. What a value play for you to get him at 6.
Such a sneaker, to build that stadium and then essentially build your house that looks just like the stadium, cut your hair that way, and only do business at P.F. Chang's. Sign me up, Mark Davis.
People are texting in Donald Sterling, but he no longer owns the clip show. These are current.
Yeah, so Daniel Snyder, Sterling out.
I mean, it's very obvious, but I do find him to be bizarre. Well, the Stanley Steamer.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's like chalk. It's not fun. It's like, who's playing in the Masters? I'll take Rory, But I mean, I got an obligation to give you my play. Snake draft. I'm trying to. Dan Snyder's out.
He's out. You can't have him.
I don't know if I would say Jerry Reinsdorf is odd.
Certainly notable.
But he's had incredible success with one organization.
Yeah.
But then an incredible disaster with the other, although they did win the World Series. Granted, it was 2005. Kenyon Middleton yesterday saying that guys were sleeping in the bullpen during White Sox games.
Shout out to those bullpen pitchers who just have no interest and just fell asleep.
Yeah, so he goes to the Yankees, he gets traded, and he goes, yeah, it was just tough. There were no rules. Guys were so asleep in the bullpen. And then
so
Rick
funny.
Hahn, who's their general manager, has to address it. And he goes, well, we do have a player on the roster who has a sleep issue who is allowed to sleep in the clubhouse during games, but he's a position player. And he goes, and it's kind of weird because the last time I saw Kenyon before we traded him, he came up to me to apologize because he had done something wrong. And then on top of it, he said he wanted to come back after the stint because he wanted to come back in free agency. And then I read that he's saying that we're a house of cards.
Right. And then hiring Tony because of like the previous.
Yeah,
that was really odd. Yeah, that's a great call. I'm seeing some text. Mark Cuban. It's almost like too chalk. Like obviously he's a great owner.
When I'm thinking of bizarre, I'm thinking like a negative connotation.
Sure, that's
but hey, in fairness to your question, you said in a good or bad way.
Right.
So I guess it's essentially Notorious, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Dean Spanos is another one, but again, I don't think.
God, what an obscure pick. Why do you say Dean Spanos?
Someone texted in. I'm not picking.
Oh.
I'm not.
Wow, you distance yourself immediately. That texter must have felt like they were thrown under the bus.
Well, the draft is completed, and I'm really upset about my Robert Kraft pick. That's just no good.
I thought you were going to go because the light hand play.
Sure, and that's
and we want to make that clear here. Allegedly.
Right.
And he has denied those, and I believe, I don't know what the situation is, but I do drive by that place when I'm down in Jupiter. I haven't had a chance to stop in yet. Jackson, it's time for us to go. BK and Ferrario are coming up next for Action Jackson. I am Tim McKernan. This has been Balloon Party, driven by Munganess St. Louis Acura and Alton Toyota on 101 ESPN.
Hey, everybody, this is Action Jackson with Circa Sportsbook, and they got two major contests with $14 million in guaranteed prizes. First up, they got the Circa Millions with $6 million in guaranteed prizes, $1,000 per entry with a max of 5 entries per person. You must register in person at Circa Sportsbook in Nevada, and while you're there, you get weekly picks and be made through a proxy that you register with from anywhere. The Circa Millions, you pick 5 teams against the spread every week. Winner takes home $1 million. There are quarterly and season-long prizes as well. They also have the Circa Survivor with $8 million guaranteed to the winner or winners, $1,000 per entry, max of 10 entries per person. You pick one team straight up every week to win. If the team loses or ties, the entry is eliminated. You can only pick each team once in a season. Go 20-0 or be the last person standing to win. Again, $14 million in guaranteed prizes across these two major contests, and there's no rake. So if the entries go above the guarantee, all extra money will go to the prize pool. If you're heading out to Las Vegas anytime soon, sign up for the two major contests, up to $14 million in guaranteed prizes.